John Engler, Governor of the state of Michigan. I'm here today on the Senate floor, normally a civilized place of business for the leaders of our state. However, today it's a House divided. The issue is not Republicans opposing Democrats, but rather Spartans against Wolverines. It's the state's two Big Ten teams, both 5-0, meeting in a football game of national importance. The debates are over and it's time to count the final vote. ESPN College Game Day is next.
Coming up on College Game Day, Michigan and Michigan State, a battle of Big Ten unbeatens. Can Bill Burke finally lead the Spartans over the hated blue?
Everybody's going to be on one side of the line or the other, and it's going to be a battle.
The Oklahoma Sooners. College Game Day live from East Lansing next.
Good Governor Engler is correct. This is a state divided. Green and white versus maize and blue. And today, Spartan Stadium is the battlefield for this long rivalry's most significant chapter in decades. Michigan and Michigan State have never met as unbeatens this late in a season. This would be hot-blooded and hard-hitting regardless of rankings, but it leans a lot more today. Greetings from the north end zone of Spartan Stadium for College Game Day. Chris Fowler, Lee Corso, Kirk Herbstreit, the Sears Trophy, the Paul Bunland Trophy is nowhere in sight. We're going to get by a football. You're going to see a blueprint today, so stay tuned for that. 13 unbeatens in Division 1A. The Big Ten has 4 of them, but only one state has 2 major college unbeatens. That will change in the next few hours here. There's a long history of hand-to-hand combat. Veterans of these past Wolverines-Spartans games make it sound like it's the Battle of the Bulge. The campus is separated by 60 miles, but culturally light years apart. Folks here like to laugh at Michigan's snobby coffee shop crowd. Up in Ann Arbor, this is considered a land-grant Aggie school. It's all in good fun. Number 3, Michigan, already out-muscled an impressive gauntlet of victims. For Michigan State, the gauntlet's just beginning. They've gone from unranked to number 11 in just 3 weeks. It's being hyped as Nick Saban's most important game here. He's standing by with Steve Seifert. Steve?
Thanks, Chris. Coach, how important is this game?
Well, I think it's a big game for both teams because of the significance that it has in the Big Ten standings, but it's also a great state rivalry, and I think with both teams being in the position they're in this year, it has a little more Big Ten and national significance.
Given the magnitude of this game, has it been difficult to keep the players calm throughout the week? Do you have to keep them in check?
Well, what we've tried to do is get the players to focus on the things that's going to help them be successful in the game and not get caught up in all the hoopla of the game, because that's the thing that's going to help them be most successful in the game. All
right, Coach Saban, thanks for your time. Chris, he beat Michigan in his first year here in 1995. Hasn't happened since, though.
This would be bigger than that first one. I think focus is an important word, Coach. Too often, it seems the Spartans have been too hyped up for this game, too obsessed with beating Wolverines.
Well, remember one thing. Michigan has beaten Michigan State 23 of the last 29 times. And remember, the talent is not that different between the two teams. But I'll tell you what the Michigan State problem is. It's this helmet. Every time they see this helmet, they play tight. They got to go after Michigan. They got to out-hit Michigan. If not, the helmet's going to get him again.
Hey, that helmet has an effect on a lot of people.
You know
what I'm saying? You look at this Michigan State team and you look at the personnel, it's easy to see the improvements. Bill Burke is playing much more efficiently at quarterback. They have bigger and better playmakers at receiver and running back. The defense has been dominating. And I think the biggest difference and improvement from a year ago is the attitude of Michigan State. A year ago, this team was up and down emotionally. They would look good and then look bad. This year, they've been consistent. And I think it's a tribute to the leadership of Nick Saban and also the leaders of this football team. It'll be tested, though, against Michigan.
Michigan likes to say we have lots of rivals, lots of big games. That's just to stick to Michigan State. Coming up, we'll hear from Spartan quarterback Bill Burke on his challenge today. The defensive inspiration for Michigan State and Campbell, and of course, game plan and predictions coming up. Now to another. In that game, much more. You guys, hold on a second. We'll talk about that game more later. But we got plenty more in the Spartans and the Wolverines as well. The calm, controlled quarterback for Michigan State. Bill Burke faces a confusing, very tough defense today. Out in the parking lot, a little Spartan salon there. You want to be sober when you get your hair work done. Hope that stuff washes out. Inside the stadium here, Michigan quarterback Tom Brady warming up between Brady and Henson and a fine group of receivers. Hi, Tom. Michigan on pace to break the school record for passing yards in a season. Coming up, we're going to meet Spartans quarterback Bill Burke. He has pointed towards this game, as his team has. Final crack at the Wolverines.
On Campus is presented by Outback Steakhouse, proud sponsor of the 2000 Outback Bowl.
Well, that is Sparty, and the Michigan State faithful have been standing guard all week to prevent Sparty from getting a coat of maize and blue paint. Mission accomplished. Delta Epsilon, perhaps nobody tailgates better than these guys. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. They have a TV out there with cable. They have some beverages, and they have a nice old bell. Well, you can't talk Michigan State for very long without talking about defense. Already this season, the Wolverines have shut down the option of Notre Dame and Syracuse. They have stuffed the smash mouth of Wisconsin. They have smothered the spread at Purdue. Sidetracking the Heisman campaigns of Ron Dane and Drew Brees. The Spartans have been stout, too. #1 against the run. No ball carrier has cracked their goal line. And Steve Cyphers now has the story of the guy who gave that defense an inspirational jump start right here on opening night. Steve?
Chris, Amp Campbell is not a team captain this year, but before the Oregon opener, he was the one who gave a stirring pregame talk, one that may have set the course for the season.
I told the team before we came out, you know, this is our home turf. They coming in here. They embarrassed us last year. We got to win this game. And I was trying to do whatever I can to make a play to help us win this football game.
With the game tied at 17 in the second half, the play happened. Oregon fumbled.
Once I got the ball in my hand, I was just like, I got to score. It was 85 yards in front of me, and I just took off and ran as fast as I could.
And while he did, those who knew his story watched in disbelief, remembering what happened against Oregon 362 days before. Then it was Campbell trying to stop the Ducks' Chris Young from scoring. But he could not. All he could do was feel the burning sensation in his neck. Taken to a Eugene, Oregon hospital, a doctor told him he had fractured his 6th and 7th vertebrae.
Right away, they took me into this room and laid me down. Doctor drilled, stuck me with a needle in my skull, both sides, fitted me for a halo, put 70 pounds on the halo to try to pull my vertebrae back into place. And he told me, he said, you know, you got to have surgery tonight. And once he told me that, my heart just dropped.
4 screws and a metal plate fused the spine, though he admits to crying, believing football was over. The tears dried the day of the Indiana game when the 5th-year senior decided to seek a 6th year of eligibility to play football again.
That's when I went in and talked to Coach Saban on Sunday and asked him, can I come back?
I said, hey, you have a lot of work to do academically. You'll have to graduate. We'll go through the appeal. We'll do whatever we can do to help you, but it's going to be uphill.
Academically ineligible in 1995, Amp Campbell carried 13 hours in the spring and 16 more in the summer. He graduated August 18th and rejoined his team.
I've never seen anybody so determined, just dog determined to get this accomplished and done.
I mean, he's real brave, real brave. Not too many people that will do something like that.
Him just putting on that helmet and that jersey on each and every week to be with us, you know, it just motivates us to, because you never know, you know, when it's going to end for you.
I think the biggest thing that I have learned from this story and everybody else should have learned from this story is that Amp Campbell's not a quitter. And anyone else out there with any problems, with any type of disability, don't give up.
No one caught Campbell in that opening game. Over 85 yards, with 4 screws and a metal plate still in his neck, he inspired the Spartans to sure victory. But over 12 months, he'd inspired everyone who knew his story, including Oregon's Chris Young, who, after the game, met with Campbell.
It seemed like we couldn't find the huddle where everyone was supposed to pray at, so we're looking around. And I was like, well, let's just do it right here.
We just thank God for life and thank him for giving us this day and opportunity to be out here on this field together.
That night, that game, that play, now distant memories for Campbell. Chris, on his mind right now, #1, David Terrell on 85, Marcus Knight of Michigan.
Well, he knows all about courage and guts. He'll need all of that to try to contain the Michigan weapons this afternoon. More on Michigan's offensive game plan coming up. This is certainly a tough ticket, couple $100 bucks. Folks had to spend here to get a ticket to this one. The home team, for what it's worth, has won 6 out of the last 7 in this series. Also straight ahead on game day, Michigan's defense.